Helldivers 2 has been finally released for Xbox, something I thought wouldn't happen, but here we are. So as a celebration, I'm coming back after my video breakdown of A Cup of Liberty to react, give you my first impressions of not one, but two songs, No Divers Left Behind and Super Earth National Anthem. Let's check them out. This sounds familiar. We actually have a drum kit as a percussion here. Okay. A lot of motion in those high strings on the violins. Oh! Okay, they're bringing back the main theme, the Cup of Liberty. They are, okay, they're doing it a little bit different here. Okay, they're introducing a little bit of conflict here, a struggle, as a juxtaposition to the main theme. But they introduce it again to resolve and change it. Okay, it's changed, but it's fine. Okay, let's pause it right there and let's talk about this a little bit. I suppose we can start by talking about the instrumentation and how all these things will eventually converge into how it pushes forward the storytelling of the music as well as the game itself. As we can hear, the brass has a huge role in the storytelling of this particular piece of music, especially, you know, the tuba and the trombones, because it gives it that military feel to it, the military fanfare, as opposed to the percussion, which is more actually outside of the norm or the box, because we actually have a drum kit, you know, drums, instead of more traditional percussive instruments, orchestral wise, like for example the timpani and so on and so forth. Like I did mention also during the reaction, is that the song has a lot of motion. I think the drums help a lot to bring that motion, you know, that flow of the music, because it's something that we are more accustomed to when we listen to, you know, all kinds of music, pop culture, electronic music, you know, rock music, metal, pop, whatever it is. You can hear a drum kit, either an electronic drum kit or an acoustic drum kit. That's what I'm trying to say. Also, I just had this crazy thought that the opening of the song kind of sounds like a theater musical, like the opening for a theater musical, or even a music as films musical, but it sounds more theatrical in my mind. Can you imagine a Helldivers 2 musical? That would be kind of crazy. But coming back to what I was saying about the drums, this actually reminds me a lot of the way Destiny do their scores, because more often than not, I've heard Destiny tracks that have a lot of percussion as in drums. Now, we also have the main theme of the game, or at least what I consider the main theme of the game, which is A Cup of Liberty. We hear that theme evoked here, but it's not played exactly as that song, but we know it comes from there. It's like being borrowed to be evoked here for the purposes, I think, of retaining that grandiose, glamorized, romantic view of war, which is all about self-sacrifice and huge, you know, tales of battle and heroism. Most importantly, heroism, and probably sacrificing your life for a cause, you know, like a patriotic war or something like that. And another thing, of course, another thing the song has is a fair amount of tension. And as far as I know, this song currently plays during the extraction phase of your missions. And also the song is called No Diver Left Behind. So certainly we hear a little bit of the juxtaposition, like I said before, in between some of those cues of the music of the song that introduces a little bit of uncertainty and struggle and conflict with the main theme of you know, A Cup of Liberty, which introduces the huge deeds of heroism and patriotism. So it plays with both worlds, and that sort of dichotomy, so to speak, quote unquote, because it's not like super marked, but it's there, is bringing like a dynamic feel to the music. You know, it's it becomes more of an emotional roller coaster, if you will. It's something that people usually, you know, qualify this kind of things, which is, I think it's a very cool way to say it, because it's very almost like a universal way to speak about these things. All right, let's keep listening. You see, it brings a little bit of that conflict at the end. Here, this is pure conflict. This is, oh mate, we have to get out of here now. They're out. They're coming to get us. The Terminites are here. Prepare. Okay, a little bit more determination, confidence in your mission. Okay, that's very interesting. We have to talk about that, because let's talk about first the resolution of the track before I forget, okay? I think it is mixed. The resolution is actually mixed, which is, I think it's a good thing, because what I think could be happening here is that the song has different cues, obviously, and this mixed resolution, because I played the first Helldivers, I haven't played the second one. I actually bought the game today, so I'm going to play it during the week. What I'm trying to say here is that the resolution is mixed, because you don't know, like, the game has to determine if you actually successfully extracted with all the Helldivers, which is, I think, 4 of them, right? So the resolution is not this, at least in this track, like the way they did it for the soundtrack, it's not like this grandiose fanfare like we heard in the opening. It's a little bit more sober and more ambiguous in that regard, especially considering that the music in Helldivers is always over the top, you know, super grandiose. So it's trying to represent that. Like, maybe you finish the mission with 2 Helldivers extracting, so it's not as, you know, grandiose, super heroic, because you lost people. Maybe if you extract with 4 people, the cue that plays is the one that has the main theme, you know, and it ends like that. But in this specific case, probably you didn't get out with all of them, so it changes depending of the outcome of the mission. Now, aside from that, also the later half of the song, I think the stakes are higher, that you can feel it in the orchestration, you know, in the composition of the music overall. We also have slight synthetic elements in the music, which is something that I think I kind of forgot to mention in the previous section, which basically brings the sci-fi setting as well. And this is something that is also present in A Cup of Liberty. This second half of the song also brings uncertainty in certain parts as a juxtaposition, or to oppose, you know, the main theme of the track, for the purposes of keeping the song dynamic, it's in its emotional weight, and, you know, kind of the journey that the player goes through during the gameplay as well. Because at the end of the day, when you finish a mission in Helldivers, you know, you might have completed all the objectives, even the secondary objectives and whatnot, but you still have to extract. And that journey to the extraction point and waiting for the ship to come and get you can be very stressful and can be, you know, a literal hell, or it can be a breeze in the air, you know what I mean? But I've certainly, from playing Helldivers 1, I can certainly tell you that it often goes the first way than the other way, but it depends on the difficulty that you play as well, of course. Now, something that I would like to mention as well as the last thing is that sometimes I feel like the song has not only that theatrical musical vibe to it, but it also has like a Bond's key Mission Impossible sort of composition direction, if you will. Maybe this is an uncommon take about the song. I've never heard anybody talking about this song in this way, but I can certainly hear it in the music. Alright, so now let's listen to Super Earth National Anthem. Okay, mate, I'm getting goosebumps out of the music. Right. Check these lyrics out. Right. Okay, let's pause it right there. Let's talk about this, okay? Well, first and foremost, you have the the huge choir, grandiose, almost apotheosic composition, right? This is all about shock and awe, inspiring beyond belief. I think, and obviously this is the whole purpose of the song, is to sort of blindside you and brainwash you about the things that are wrong about, the whole Super Earth architecture as a society and everything. I mean, the song is basically telling you that you have to sacrifice, and it's all upon the blood spilled by the citizens, and it's to sustain the regime and so on and so forth. So sometimes it's introducing a little bit of that blunt sincerity of what's behind the curtain, but obviously this is done for the purposes of the satire and the humor as well, to be honest, of the whole premise of the game. Let's keep listening. Yeah. This is so inspiring, mate. What? Wait, they're so unashamed. Right. Oh my god. That was awesome. Isn't it funny that the song has that kind of lyrics, and the resolution of the song is basically this major chord in super inspiring, and the lyrics say stay free. It's just the absolute unashamed I don't know, lie Now, like I was saying in the previous section, you know, this sounds almost like a recruitment anthem, you know, it's about its overzealotry of citizens pouring themselves in for this greater cause of Super Earth and, you know, expanding upon stars and stars, you know, basically conquering all the galaxy, if you will. Lyrically ironical, of course. Sometimes it's extremely on the nose, you know, tongue-in-cheek, especially that there's the most blunt one is the one with you know, the mountains of skull, or you know, the amount of skulls accumulated by the sacrifice of the citizens for the cause of Super Earth. And this peaks even further into the ridiculousness of the propaganda that you see in the game, but as you can see also as well in the storytelling, that ridiculousness sometimes doesn't even have to be for the sake of a joke, but for the sake of how brainwashed and manipulated the population of Super Earth is, that the Super Earth regime, you know, that this tyrannical regime can be extremely blunt and almost unashamed of how they use their citizens in these wars, by telling them, you know, your skull will be on a mountain, but at the end of the day, you know, they give you like this insane bleak image of what they are doing, but the citizens still sign up to be Helldivers. That's how bad the society is. And also there's the collective appeal, right? The us versus them, which is something that also is very well portrayed in Starship Troopers, and you know, the movie, which is, you know, a super huge influence in this game. And there is I heard a fan theory in Starship Troopers, the way humanity has achieved unity amongst all nations on all races and so on and so forth is by purposely maintaining a war with an alien faction. In Starship Troopers is bugs, but basically like that, you know. So it wouldn't surprise me that Super Earth is doing exactly the same thing. So I would say that Super Earth, the national anthem, is probably the song that I've heard so far that talks the most about the world building of the game, how they did the world building for this game, because through the lyrics and the composition and the music of this track, it talks about the overarching situation of what Super Earth is in barely 2.5 minutes. A Cup of Liberty and No Divers Left Behind talk about more about the warfare, the glamorized romanticized version of warfare, and these incredible, almost unreal acts of heroism and patriotism. But National Anthem is more about the overarching storytelling and world building of the whole franchise. You know, the whole world is portrayed in this song. So that's gonna be it for today. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to check my other Helldivers 2 A Cup of Liberty reaction that I did. Alright? I'll see you there.